Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It is us, the Ladylorians. We realize that it has been a rather long hiatus since our last episode in August, which seems like forever ago. But we're busy ladies, and it's been a crazy year. We all had a lot going on, but we are happy to be back for season 2 of our podcast. While we were on our break from filming, we celebrated our first anniversary as a podcast as well. So thank you for all your support under our anniversary post. But yeah, we're happy to be back and have new Star Wars content to be talking about and reacting to. And obviously, if you can tell by the title of the video, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be breaking down the first episode of Book of Boba Fett, sharing our opinions and predictions and things like that. So, yeah, we're happy to be back. How does it feel to be back, everyone? It feels good, right?
Great.
Great.
Good. Very glad
That
to be
sounded
back.
so enthusiastic. I'm serious. I mean, it's awesome.
Happy to be here.
We're so excited.
I'm quite excited. I'm excited to have new Star Wars to watch and to look forward to on a weekly basis because for those of us who primarily keep up with the cinematic universe, we've been on a bit of a dry spell since the Bad Batch. And there hasn't been a lot of new things to watch. I mean, we had Visions, which was really cool. And in a future episode, I know I'd love to talk about Visions and share some ideas about that. But, as far as something with like a consistent storyline to follow, and not like in a vignette format, like Book of Boba Fett is the first thing we've had in a long while.
Yeah, anyways, sorry for leaving.
It's been an interesting 4 months, I think, for all of us.
Yeah, we practically went through hell and back. It's been a rough 4 months. So but we're glad to be back. I'm excited to be back. Boba, life, let's do this again, bros, okay? Before we start, does anyone have any updates, something that we should know about life? Some excuses for why we were gone.
I mean, personally, I have 2 jobs, so, and I'm in school full time.
I am also in school full time. I'm only working one job, but school full time job and just mental health behaviors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dumped.
Just girly things. Just girly things on the Ladylorians.
We're honest here.
You better leave it in.
Yeah, how about you? I will. Ruthie, how about you? How's life? How was your first semester?
Life is good. I'm also a full-time student and I recently transferred schools and moved across the country. So that's been hard, in and of itself. But yeah, no, it's been a pretty good adjustment. Just really busy and a lot of new in my life. I'm now California based, so yeah, so that's been crazy. But yeah,
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, California girl.
Welcome to the club.
Docs ourselves.
I had an existential crisis and got a new job. That's
Yay!
fun. Yay!
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all for right now.
We're very booked and busy. And like Ruthie said, it's not anything with each other. It's just our own personal lives and young adulthood. I think we went into this knowing that we were all in a very transitional period in our lives and that things would change evidently over time. But we're all super excited to be back. I'm super excited. I love having new content. It's been a pretty rough year here since the end of the last season of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Just waiting for new content.
Yeah, and also we started the podcast when things were pretty generally locked down. So those of us that were working jobs were out of work temporarily or working significantly less and things like that. And so at the start of this, we had a lot more of a flexible schedule for filming and stuff like that. But now that a lot of things are opening back up and stuff like that. It is a little bit more of a challenge to find when to film, but it's a challenge that we are taking on this year and this semester and finding new ways to navigate because we love creating content for everybody. This year is going to be pretty jam-packed with podcast content, we hope, and lots of cool stuff to come. If you can't tell, thanks to Dodge, we have a new format, new layout. We've got
We're
our
put together,
Ladylorians
babes. I got
stars in
sick
the
and tired of
background,
editing, and I
and
said we're leveling up this season.
it looks great. So we've got ourselves a new streaming program and things like that, and lots of other things under our belt.
But anyways, back to Star Wars. Let's talk about Star Wars. Let's talk about Boba.
What
Interesting
is there to
episode.
even say?
How did we feel about the episode? Because everyone has a lot of opinions about it. And, like, be honest. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I don't want y'all to sugarcoat anything. People who are listening,
I think that fight
we
scene
ain't
was
sugarcoating.
Weak fight scene.
Period.
The one with the
Weak.
cop?
Period.
The one with a bunch of assassins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The space ninjas. Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
that.
It was really poorly choreographed, in my opinion, because why did they surround Boba when they literally could observe that he's wearing a jetpack?
Why
Come on.
didn't he use it?
Come on, space
That's a
ninjas.
good question.
Let's
Why didn't
use,
you use that?
Let's use our heads. Let's survey our surroundings a
They
little
had
bit.
longer
Also,
sticks than he did, so
yeah, I mean, my beef with that fight scene, my main beef is like my main beef, is that it just seemed very unmotivated. Like it seemed to kind of come out of nowhere, like strictly because there was an absence of action, and it seemed like Fav Daddy or Robert Rodriguez or whoever was like, we need to spice things up a little bit. Space ninjas, like it didn't seem like they really had much purpose for like jumping them.
I mean, I literally just rewatched the episode, and like I kind of agree that it just felt like a little bit like they felt like they needed to have some like action in there or whatever, because it had been, other than like the beginning part where we see him kind of like interacting with the sand people, there's not much like action. But I do see like how when I just rewatched it, I noticed that like she literally is Fennec is talking to Boba, and he's saying like, I don't want to be feared, I want to be respected. And she goes, oh, like fear can be an important thing. And then immediately they come and attack him, like right after that sentence is like stated.
Yeah,
so
I get
it's
that.
like, I don't know, I feel like it kind of fits into that, where like she's kind of saying like, if they fear you, they're not gonna like come after you. And then they come after him.
I'm on Fennec's side with this one. When Boba said, when he spoke this sentence, like, I want to lead, but he says, Jabba led with fear, I intend to lead with respect. And like, oh, that's cute, respect, homie. But then, okay, I really noticed a parallel, like, with the Mandalorian here, because, we have this image of Boba as a villain associated with the dark side. He's a hard A bounty hunter, tough guy. And then he speaks a sentence like that. I don't know. The concept I had of him in my head was always like this really ruthless, like cold guy. And then when he said that, it contradicted the idea I had of him in my head, having always been labeled as a villain and associated with the dark side, like in video games and other media and stuff that I grew up with. And so I have a fear based on that like Boba is going to parallel Din a lot, because Din was a hard bounty hunter and a cold guy who, had a change of heart, and whose heart was warmed and opened when he had a new purpose, to save the child and look after the child. And I'm like, I just don't want to see something so similar in Boba. I want to see a villain. We love our villains. Villains are interesting. I want to see them do bad things. Lead with fear.
Could
lead with
try,
fear. Like
be a some sort of villain. I mean, not necessarily a villain, just like a fights with.
I mean,
Boba or something.
I think like I personally saw that kind of like side of Boba coming in the show because of how he was in The Mandalorian when he was helping Din. Like, I don't think the idea we had of him before seeing him in The Mandalorian was that, and then he comes into the show and he is willing to help Din out and everything, and so that kind of made me think that maybe we were gonna get to see that side of him more in the show than the side that we saw in the originals where he was just this bounty hunter. I mean, granted, again, I have like said this before that Boba, I was not part of the like Boba obsession before. I was never like one of those people who was obsessed with him because like I just didn't see like there wasn't much to him. We didn't know much about him.
You didn't see the
How
appeal.
much of his like I don't know. It was just like people took like ran with so little to go on. Obviously, like over time they built like lore around it and stuff with the comics and with extras. We learned a little bit more in Clone Wars, but it is interesting to get to see. I am interested to see like where they go with this storyline of him changing his like heart, I guess.
I totally agree. Like, I felt the same thing in like Boba or in The Mandalorian, where I saw Boba in that perspective of like being like the like more of like the respect aspect of him that we didn't really see before, which I like, and I saw that coming in going into Boba. But I do agree, like the Fennec's idea of like, yeah, we understand that you want to rule with respect, but people need to fear you in order to have respect on like Tatooine and stuff. And he's very weak, which is why I understand how the fight scene was very weak in itself. But even like Fennec's portion was very weak too, like in terms of like her fighting off them on the roofs and stuff. It was just like it felt very forced, if that makes sense. I get that. But I still have hope for it. I think that they just need to put this like ground episode on just to show where we're at, all this stuff. And I liked it was a fun episode to watch, but I'm excited to know what the plot of this is. Like, what's the underlining plot? Like, I know he's getting respect, but like what's actually going on here? And that's what's like making me excited for the next episode.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that. I'm excited to see what happens. Like, I think there's a lot of potential. I have to say, I'm surprised by the level of just like kind of slow exposition in this episode, considering it's only a 7-episode series. Because I mean, just the pacing surprised me because it's like when you have a series that's only 7 episodes and it's so limited, I would think that every episode would need to be pretty jam-packed of like really carefully selected information and moments and stuff. And I do feel like though I enjoyed it, you know, like the pilot had like a really slow pacing and it kind of got off to like a slow start. So I'm interested to see how they make up for that in the coming episodes and how they're going to tell a full, you know, coherent arc in the remaining 6 episodes.
I mean, what kind of gives me hope about this is that, like, I felt the same way about Mando's first episode until we saw Grogu. Like, I was still like, yeah, it's good. Like, I understand, like, you know, he's trying to find this whatever person, this bounty. And it's, like, kind of like the same thing with Boba of how, like, he's, like, trying to earn respect and get in contact with people. And it was, like, you know, kind of like, yeah, there's fight scenes and all this stuff, but like, what's the underlining point or plot or whatever? And so I just feel like we were missing that one part that was like, okay, this is what's happening in the next episode, if that makes sense. But there's a lot of theories about Crimson Dawn coming in because people think that Crimson Dawn is the people that attacked Boba and Fennec, and that would bring Maul into live action again, and Kiara. So
yeah,
I think that's the underlining plot, and people thought maybe they thought more people were gonna see that, or maybe it's not even them. But that's what I believe, and I think that was kind of like the first like hint of like where this is going.
do you think that if they were gonna like be in it though, that there would have been more rumors circulating about it before. You know
Well,
what I
there
mean?
was a lot of rumors. There was a lot of rumors because, you know, people, they said that there was going to do a Kiara series or something related to Solo series going on. And I think that they just kind of like gave up on that aspect of it because it has been like a very long time since Solo came out and we've seen those characters. And I think bringing in them in Boba would bring them into live action easier than it would just be like a new series, which like they're already like cutting down so many series that they've announced and stuff. So I think like this could
Yeah.
be the Crimson Dawn aspect of it. What do you guys
They're
do?
like-
You guys want to see Crimson Dawn?
I feel like at this point, showing more Maul content is pretty much just fan service.
Yeah.
I feel like we've
this show
seen
is
what we've
fan
needed
service,
of
though.
Maul, and I don't feel like we need any more. For like the movie fans and stuff, it would be cool. Like if for people who haven't seen like the Clone Wars and Rebels and such. But
Yeah,
I just
I
personally feel like
agree.
I have closure with Maul.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like if you're someone who consumes all of the Star Wars medias, including Clone Wars and Rebels, I feel like they've closed that storyline. Like they showed what happened with him and everything. But I do understand people who only watch the movies or only watch the like movies and like Mando and the live action stuff. And like personally, like I love Kira. Like I would love to see her again. But I don't know if like in such a limited series, if this is like the time and place, because I feel like this I hope the show is gonna focus on Boba and Fennec, because Fennec is a character I'm super excited about getting to see her story.
Like I don't
too.
like what they did to the Mandalorian. It's something that they should
Mhm.
probably not keep doing. And that's like
Yeah.
introducing this character that we're so excited about and then focusing in on a bunch of other people we've already met.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, Kath. Like,
Yeah.
like I totally agree with both points Kath and Kenzie made, because one part of me says the whole show is fan service, you know, like people have wanted to know more about Boba Fett and see more of Boba Fett in cinematic canon for almost 50 years now. So the show being created in and of itself is a work of fan service. And then another part of me says, okay, it's taken this long for us to finally have more cinematic Boba Fett content. It should be mainly centered around Boba, and bringing in another really beloved, you know, familiar character like Maul or something like that, I feel like could distract from the fact that this is his show. And I mean, like, considering that the majority of existing Boba Fett content has been retconned or is now recognized as legends after the Disney acquisition, like, if we consider that, then, you know, especially if you're just a fan of the cinematic universe, like, we know next to nothing about Boba Fett as an adult, you know, like, so I really feel like in a 7-episode series, we should really hone in on who is Boba and who is Fennec and what their motivations are. I mean, we also know next to nothing about Fennec. We know that she is a master assassin. We have no idea how she got there. I mean, even when she showed up in the Bad Batch, like, we didn't get a lot of development of her character. You know, she had a purpose, she had motivations, and, you know, it made sense to have her there, but we still don't know who she is. So yeah, I think that I hope that the purpose of the show is to, if it is fan service, you know, to answer a lot of the fans' questions and to fill in a lot of gaps and things like that. And not bring in stuff that can distract from these two characters that have a lot of potential that I think everyone wants to know a lot about.
Yeah. I think Disney is going to take this opportunity to relate Boba and Fennec somehow in that's why I think like Crimson Dawn is gonna be in it, is because it's gonna bring back Maul, Jedi, like Ahsoka, that type of stuff. Because I think that's like the main thing that they really want to focus on, and it's like their way of like allowing Boba to have a series if it somehow relates to something in the future that's like as a value, you know? And like I just think, well, I will bet money Din is in this series. I'm pretty sure he was in the trailer, his voices, and I'm just freaking excited to see my boy again. I'll be real honest. I just want Din to show up. But
So,
I think he's gonna be like a translator, but like
so my question is, since you started getting into that, how you think they're going to use it to tie into other things, are you saying that you think that they're using this show as a stepping stone to the Ahsoka series?
I think personally that because Din's first 2 seasons was introducing the Jedi and their part in this timeline, right? And I think there's no reason why Boba should have a series if it doesn't relate to something Jedi-like. Because there's no reason. Why is he important, if that makes sense?
Personally, though, like I would love to see content in Star Wars that is not focused around Jedi.
I know.
Me too.
You know?
I
But
agree.
after The Mandalorian, I'm like, I don't think it's gonna happen.
I mean,
you know?
yeah.
I think that Book of Boba Fett is like the sidecar on the Mandalorian motorcycle. I
Yeah.
literally think it's just like, especially the way that it was presented to us. You know, like the trailer was shown at the butt end of the last Mandalorian episode, and
Mhm.
Boba Fett was reintroduced in the Mandalorian. I think this is more of like a sidetrack tie-in to the Mandalorian,
Mhm.
and it's a larger part of the Mandalorian than it is its own freestanding series. Because we understand at this
Mhm.
point it is a limited series, it's only 7 episodes. So I do think there's a very good chance that like Din Djarin will be in the series because I think it's a tie-in. But I do agree with what Kenzie said. You know, if this wasn't a tie-in to the Mandalorian, and you know Boba Fett didn't have a connection to Din, and it was going to be its own freestanding series or long-running series, like I would agree. Like I think there's so many aspects to the Star Wars universe aside from Jedi, and we've explored Jedi so much that I want to know about more subgroups of people in the universe, and I don't
Mhm.
always think that we need to bring lightsabers into everything for it to be interesting or to be Star Wars. Like Star Wars has so many components, and I think they all deserve to be equally explored.
Here's the thing. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But I think The Mandalorian was the final decision if there can be like a successful show that's not related to Jedi and Sith and all that stuff. And when we saw Grogu instantly became the star of the show, obviously. But it's like now the way The Mandalorian was left out, and you think about him with the Darksaber, and it's like, okay, so is he going to Mandalore? Is he ruling? Is he with Bo-Katan? Like that type of stuff. But Boba's on his own little track, right? And he just wants to take control of the crime lords and all that stuff. Maybe they bring in Omega and they bring Omega
Omega.
into the storyline. I would freak out if Omega showed up because I think that's so cool. But Omega also could connect to the Jedi the same as Grogu did.
I feel that. I wouldn't want an Omega appearance in the Book of Boba Fett to lower the stakes related to her character in the Bad Batch. Because if we know that she's alive and we know what her fate is and stuff like that, I don't want that to change how we relate to that character in the Bad Batch and whether or not we root for them, or if there's like a scene where we almost lose Omega or she's in danger or something. I don't want it to be like, oh, we don't have to worry about her because we know she's in Book of Boba Fett.
I agree. I don't
So
know.
I don't
I'm
want
just
that to,
confused.
I don't want, an Omega appearance, like adult Omega. I don't want that to take away from my perception of her in the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just have so many theories. I'm just cuz Din is definitely in it. There's not a doubt in my mind that Din doesn't show up. But I'm thinking of okay, why, if Din's the ruler of Mandalore, why is he cruising around to Tatooine to help Boba Fett translate? And because that's in the trailer, I'm pretty sure that's Pedro Pascal's voice talking. And And so I think he becomes their translator, which they hinted at like needing a translator. So I'm assuming that's how he shows up. But it's all, I don't know. It's just like, I'm so confused. And I wish that this episode gave me something that was like, oh, this is the direction it's going or whatever. But I'm just petty. I'm impatient. That's it. And I've just been spoiled rotten with The Mandalorian that I'm like, I need to know everything right now. And I just need to deal with it.
We know. No, I'm kidding. I wanted to shift the conversation just a little bit from Sexy Helmet Man to the visual effects in
I'm sorry, I would like to make a comment on the sand centaur lizard thing.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
What was that?
I don't know. That was a shocker. That was quite a shocker.
Yeah.
I have compared the animation of the sand monster guy to the claymation in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like it seemed very like 70s, like camp, you know, kind of low budget,
good.
Godzilla looking, and like
did it look bad to you? I thought it looked good.
I have to look it up.
I wasn't a big fan of the
Oh,
visual
God.
effects, and like the fighting was very cheesy.
Yeah, I mean no disrespect to anyone who, you know, worked in the art department and stuff like on this film and animating and whatever, because it's a really hard job.
It's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's the budget. It's the budget.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Who am I to sit in my bedroom who knows nothing
But
about
wasn't it like
the
filmed
effects
on
and
that
animation?
same? Like,
I
was
don't
it
know.
not
Well,
filmed on the same
I
like
think budget as
studio? No, it was
Yeah.
filmed in the same like circle thing, right?
That
they
was
filmed
the other
Mando.
thing. You know, it's filmed on an LED soundstage. So instead of having green screens and doing visual effects with a green screen, they literally have an LED atmosphere that they can create.
But they did that with the
with a screen.
Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay,
here-
I am looking at pictures a bit. It's questionable at best.
Yeah,
Girl,
and
send
also
it over.
I
I
also
want
just
one of
feel
those
like
dogs. I want the massive so bad.
oh,
It was
I
so
feel
cute.
like when Boba
Well-
Fett was in the camp, like with the Tusken Raiders, and he was like in their like village or their settlement or
Mhm.
whatever, especially
thought
at night, it was very obvious that they were in a soundstage. Like I didn't feel like they were outside
Maybe I'm
in the
just
desert.
like
I was like
invested.
it just looked like, I don't know, it looked very artificially and low budget to me. Like I feel like it wasn't of the same quality of The Mandalorian.
I think that they wanted that creature in there because they wanted to have a parallel of like Leia killing Jabba and the choking part, but it was Boba, you know?
I'm sorry. I'd like to say that photo of whatever alien that is, it looks like one of those really old versions of the Godzilla movies.
Thank you. Yes, I agree.
So that's interesting.
I agree. I also, it just seemed like there was one part where the monster like flung Boba Fett or like kicked him or something,
Yeah.
and it just looked very, very fakey.
Crummy. Yeah, I don't know. I was so
this
like
not like them trying to parallel, not like parallel because obviously it's not the same like monster, but I know that like obviously before we find out that he survives, right? We think that way back when that he fell into the Sarlacc pit and that's where he went, right? Sand monster, another sand monster. So do we think like them trying to have this like sand monster fight was them trying to like parallel that
Very
in
poorly.
some way? Yeah.
why does he have abs? That's what I want to know.
Why does this monster
Like,
have abs?
why? Like
This
why?
monster has
why
an
would they-
8-pack.
No, he literally
It has,
has
like, a
1,
16
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Not Dodge counting
9,
his
10,
abs.
11, 12, 13, 14. 15, 16, 17. He has an 18 pack. Like, I want to know what was going through their mind of like
maybe he
designing it. They're
lived.
like, he's going
Trying to detail the abs
Yeah.
on this freaking
My
monster.
question, like, I have a lot of questions surrounding the fauna of Tatooine because y'all got a lot of monsters. Y'all have a monster
And
problem.
it's like
We
not
have
It's the
great
consistent.
Anakin
dragons.
hate thing.
Crate dragons, sarlaccs. We've got banthas. They're not monsters, but like just the diversity on this
Yeah.
I would
planet.
also
Like
like.
we're
hold
in a
on.
desert. How do y'all have all these giant animals? How do they sustain themselves? Like,
I would like to direct the conversation to the Tusken Raiders and
okay,
how much humanity Book of Boba has brought the Tusken Raiders.
Yes.
Yes.
Like,
continued
they have
from the
I am-
Mandalorian.
beef and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, because then, like in Anakin, in Attack of the Clones, he like just goes and kills them all, and
Yeah.
now we're getting some like
Mhm.
some
Oh.
Tusken Raider lore.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have something to ask you because I was quite confused about this part. You know the part where they're walking out with the like Tusken Raider child and they're going out to get the little water bottle things.
Water bottle.
They pass they pass the house and the people are like throwing like yeah, it's just shaped differently, okay?
They're looking for this.
But they're you know how they're like pouring gasoline on the house, right? And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're seeing them roast Luke's uncle and aunt right now." Like,
that
Oh my god,
happened.
that's what I thought too.
I know that already happens, but I was like,
Yeah.
but it was literally like the same exact layout. Like the house
Yeah.
was the same exact one. And so
All the
I was
suburbs
just
look the
sitting there
same.
and I was like, what? I was so confused. I guess I don't know what the point of that was. And I've been asking people of like what they think that was about. I don't know if it's like showing us like what happens when people don't pay up to crime lords or if it's showing us like just like gang
I thought it was
beef,
showing us
you know?
water. I just saw the water, and I was like, "Oh, cool, water."
I agree, Dodge. I think that was a part that was really glossed over. Like, I feel
I'm
like
just
that could really be foretelling of something bigger and more important, and it wasn't something I put a lot of thought into. So I'm glad you brought it up.
because like
Yeah.
I'm also thinking of like maybe they're showing us that because Luke's aunt and uncle just like died, you know? And they're just like and they're trying to make it like, oh yeah, it's just like something that happens. Like
well, no, because they were killed by like the government, and this was like
no! This is like
I'm
right,
gonna leave that
like
on somebody who knows more Star Wars lore than me. Catherine.
So, Uncle Beru and Uncle Lars were technically, yes, killed by the government.
yeah.
This like the CIA, but those
The
random,
CIA.
the CIA of
The
space. I don't.
CIA, yeah.
But yeah, they pulled up.
But like those, I think that these people were just getting like robbed. I
yeah,
don't
this
know.
was like a gang.
Like-
This was like gang activity. Like
Maybe maybe that
I mean,
makes me
Tatooine
think,
is a big.
like, yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of like it was so similar that made me think that like maybe when Luke's and uncle were killed, they were killed by the government, but they wanted to make it look like it was just like a gang thing, so they
lit
did it
their
the
bodies
same
on
way.
fire.
That's what
I
they
think
did to the other ones, though.
I mean,
That's
I
what
mean,
they. Oh, they did that with
Yeah,
the ones
you
in
shoved him back into the
Book of
house
Boba?
and lit the house up. Yeah.
Okay,
was
well,
trying
like,
to escape,
okay,
and they're like,
Lars
"Nah,
and
get
Beru
back
were
in
kind of
there."
like on the front lawn on fire. Like,
I mean, maybe they're just trying to show like the kind of environment that Tatooine is. Not that we don't already know that from how many times we've visited Tatooine in the freaking movies and shows, but like just showing that that's kind of like the environment it's currently in or whatever, I guess. Because I mean, it's technically right. Boba's coming in and like taking over, but they're like kind of in this like weird stage where they don't have this
Yeah.
like
yeah, they're
crime lord leading them, you know.
exactly. They're in like a transition, and
Yeah.
I think maybe that was put there to show what can happen on Tatooine if you don't rule with fear. Yeah,
people
are gonna suffer, and
Other
it's like,
people
you
are
want the
gonna-
bad guys to suffer or the good guys to suffer?
yeah,
bad
it's like
I just
kind of
wish-
like if you're not gonna do it, other people are gonna do it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I just wish that they like changed the house design or something
Well,
because like
maybe
They
the
just all
it was
look like
literally
igloos.
like the satellite thingy, the sticks. Okay, they were in the
Yeah.
same place as
Just
the
like-
other ones. Just
Maybe
like
all-
that, babe.
Maybe
Have you
all
ever
houses
been-
on Tatooine, yeah, they all look the same. It's just like a townhouse neighborhood
That
where all the
antenna
houses look
thing
exactly
is
the
actually
same.
like a
Who was
water
the real
rig.
estate agent
Yeah.
that was like, yeah, let's copy and paste all these babies, okay? Like, why
Dodge-
couldn't they put the satellite on the other side?
Have you ever
Like-
been to an American suburb?
Yeah,
I
that's
have,
what I'm
but
saying.
this
All the
is
suburbs
Yeah.
look the
stubborn.
same.
Like, why?
Yeah, you want
why
to
is
look
there
outside
no
my house right now?
flavor
They all look the
in
same.
Tatooine house, development?
Those houses are the
like,
equivalent to a McMansion.
Literally, like
well,
a
yeah,
suburb.
but like, why is the satellite in this?
That's
thing
where
It's
their
a
water
water
comes
rig.
from.
But why couldn't it be on the left side? I was sitting there for like 30 minutes talking to my mom of like, I don't think that's Luke's aunt and uncle, but why did they put it the same exact one? So why wouldn't it?
Actually,
be,
and there
you
were
know? I
also
don't
there was
know.
also that weird like circle that was like spewing out water.
Oh yeah.
Get IMDb Pro, look up the art team, ask them.
I'm gonna email them and I'm gonna be like, listen, let's
Send them
talk
a
about
strongly
this.
worded email and be like, can we
Because
diversify?
I think I should
the
be
art
the
that-
housing
directory?
developer for
Lucasfilm.
Tatooine.
If you're
Lucasfilm.
watching,
Yeah, if you guys are watching this, I have a quick question.
Okay, I have to bring
Like-
up something really important.
Yes.
You know how when you consume fictional content, there is a phenomenon called the suspension of disbelief, where
yeah,
if you are immersed
Oh.
this is a concept where if you're immersed in a universe that is well established, that even if something completely ridiculous happens in a fantasy world, it's so commonplace to the people in that universe that you don't question it and you're able to buy into
Yeah.
it. Like you're
Mhm.
watching Harry Potter and you're like, oh, they can use powder to travel through the fireplace, but you're like, seems legit. That's like when you get immersed in a universe.
Dodge, have you never seen Harry Potter?
It's like, okay,
No.
don't worry about it. Minor detail, but
What
it's
kind
like
of
in Star
powder?
Wars, where we're flying through space and we go into hyperspace and we can travel through light speed. Like
To add context,
Yeah.
Dodge, they travel through fireplaces.
I
Hey,
got that part.
It's called
Powder.
blue powder. And
But
Powder in the
like-
fireplace.
a special kind of powder? Is it like? Anyways,
anyway.
I'm
we
doing-
can do that. We can have a Harry
Who's
Potter
asking?
quiz one day where we teach dogs
Later.
about Harry Potter.
But like when you're
I know.
consuming something that's in a convincing fictional universe, you're not being like, how does that work? Like you're like,
Mhm.
okay, seems legit, like it's real. My suspension of disbelief was very starkly interrupted in the Book of Boba Fett when Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc. What
Oh no.
in the world? What you're telling me that he
It's that easy?
somehow he had a
that
flamethrower
easy?
and he burnt through the skin, like, and he took one puff of clean oxygen and was able to,
And he was
to-
like, it was like
that
the
whole that
adrenaline
little
was
that
like,
one
all
little
right.
inhalation of oxygen got him through. How was he able to feel his way out through the sand? If you're in sand underwater, you go
Echolocation.
towards the bubbles, like there's no bubbles, you're just in sand. How do you Also, like, okay, we're talking about the flamethrower and we're talking about melting skin and organs and things like that. Do you know how long it takes to cremate a human body?
No.
Like, you're
No, I
telling
don't
me-
actually. I don't.
Well,
I don't work in a funeral home.
This
But-
thing has
but-
way more flesh than a human, and it's gotta be like thick and nasty. I mean, it had to take him like freaking hours to burn through the skin of this thing. Like,
You know how I
I'm
know
not
that?
buying it. I'm not buying it.
You know how I remember that part in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when Drax is like, I'm gonna go in from the inside, and they're like, no, don't do. Am I the only one that knows this part? Where
No,
they're like,
I know what
don't
you're
do
talking
that.
about. I know
It's
what you're
the
talking
same.
about.
It's the same thickness on the inside and out. And he's like, no, I'll do it. And then he goes in and starts. That's why I feel like Boba was like he
I'm
was
just
with
having
his
a
little like
very-
knives, and he's like,
I'm having a very hard time believing that he was able to burn a little hole through the Sarlacc belly
Yeah.
and
I get that.
climb out of the sand and live. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I hope that maybe as we see more flashbacks, they're able to show us more and we're able to piece more together about that sequence and how he escaped. Because right now,
You're
not trying to be a
confused.
Debbie Downer, okay? But I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, Star Wars.
You know
okay?
what? Wait, what is it
What?
called again? Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, mine was when the freaking robots were there. Did you see the Earth robots that were there?
No.
Have you seen these demon creatures? They're Earth robots. They're robots that have like 4 legs.
Uh-huh.
Have you never seen them? They're taking over
No.
the earth right now as we speak. But they're robots. Girl, don't make I'm gonna find a photo. Think about
God.
it. Everyone was talking about it on Twitter. I was like, did anyone else see that? And people were like, yeah, that was a little weird, I'm not gonna lie. And some people were like, yeah, that seems accurate. And I'm like,
Okay.
What are the
no,
Earth robots?
that is from Earth.
I have to look this up.
Girl. Let me show you. They're
robots?
creepy, right? And every single they're okay, so basically they're like in robots that like learn tasks or whatever. And
Oh, ew.
and
Oh, thanks. I hate it.
yeah, and literally every single video I see of them, it's like humans like beating them with like a stick if they don't do something. And I'm over here like, we are literally
The ones that look
going
like
to be
dogs,
taken
right?
over. Yeah. I saw
It's
that
like, okay,
in Book
it's
of
like-
Boba,
it's like-
and I was like,
it's like
how did they get there?
Have you guys watched Black Mirror?
No.
Anybody
I
watch
refuse
Black
to because
Mirror?
I
Oh
don't think
my
I can recover
gosh.
from that.
Because there's a freaking episode where they have the robot dog things in it, and they talk about like the whole episode is about how like messed up these robots can become. That whole show is insane. I highly recommend if you've never seen it. They literally they
It's
stopped making it.
amazing.
The creators of it literally said they stopped making it because the real world is becoming too much like it. They're like, the real world is too depressing right now and too bad that we don't want to make a new season because we're already living in an episode of it.
So we're
When-
having real
We are living
world
Black Mirror. That's ultimate Black Mirror moment.
we're having
Yeah.
real world droids play
In
fantasy
Star
world?
Wars.
Yeah, dude, this was going through my mind.
Yeah.
We're
They
having
literally
droids act.
they
Yes.
strapped wings on them, and they're like, perfect, fit right in. And I saw them, and I was just like, how did they get there? Like, who? Maybe they just showed up on set, and people were
I am
like,
running to
But
Twitter right
it's-
now.
yeah.
Boston Dynamics robots, dogs, debuted in Star
I
Wars.
have seen these before. The Boston Dynamics. Yeah, I've seen these.
Yeah, that freaks
A
me
new
out.
era
It
of
kind of pause a
technology.
little bit.
You can even see the yellow under them. Like they're not hidden well.
They're like, just strap the wings on really tight, put some duct tape on them. They're gonna be good. Like, it was creepy. Like, those things, like, they're taking over. They're literally gonna take over, and this is the start of their takeover. They're starting in our media, right? And they're brainwashing us, acting like it's some lovely robot, right, that we can love and play with, and that they're in Star Wars and it's so great. And then they're gonna show up at our door. They're gonna kill us. That's my thought process. This is what's going through my mind. So
This is the
when it
first episode
happens,
back.
remember me.
Okay.
I was the first to say it, and I just want to put it
I
out
doubt
there.
you were.
No,
There's no way
No.
that you are the first person to have
I-
ever said that.
I'm
There's
the
no
one
such thing
per-
as an
I-
original
this is,
thought dodge.
This one's original. This is OG. I'm trademarking it. I will
You
trademark
should
this
NFT
thought.
it, whatever that means.
Yeah. No, I choose to not be a part of that part of like
Yeah.
Twitter, whatever that
Lady
is.
Lorians
NFT
are
Twitter.
anti-NFT.
Can you imagine we buy
Ape.
one? Okay, also, speaking of unrealistic things that were inside of Boba, when Boba would go to sleep and his dreams would start exactly where they ended, that made me mad. If I had the ability to start where my dreams ended, I would never wake up. Like, my
Boba
dreams
is just
be
always
awesome.
lucid dreaming.
I was so jealous. was unrealistic for me. Kind of upset about that one, but no one talked about it, and I was like, that's not normal. So why are we not talking about that?
I mean, but he was like,
Whatever.
it wasn't like he was normal sleeping though. He was in like the back to
He's in like
chamber.
a little coma.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like it's a different thing here, you know, than normal sleep.
Is anybody worried about how weak Grandpa is at the moment?
Yeah.
No, he's old. He's gonna kick the bucket.
Well, he just dies.
Boba Fett dies.
I just
That's what happened in the last episode of the series. I'm calling it now.
it's his funeral when everyone shows up.
The
I hope
Boba
that
Fett
he,
Every
like,
Star Wars character.
died of old age.
Did he? So
I'm
he turned
worried-
his father's armor into his armor, yeah?
Yes,
Never mind.
yes,
He painted it.
I think.
Yes. I was gonna say, maybe we get some Django reference.
Yeah, that is true. I'm hoping there's some more clone Django references because I do like that when they had that in The Mandalorian.
Mhm.
I also am just like, why wasn't he this weak in The Mandalorian? Like, what was his, like, in The Mandalorian, he was a baddie, okay? And he was fighting all of them.
I
like, it
never
was
been with a
nothing.
baddie.
With a baddie. And so now I'm like, what happened? Like, was it
Maybe
like he was running on adrenaline for like 7 months and then he's like, nah, I gotta rest.
I'm worried that
Gotta do my
Grandpa.
skincare.
Sorry, I'm calling Boba Grandpa. I'm worried that Grandpa
Skincare.
is gonna get up on his little soapbox and be like, "Crime is dumb. Why can't we all just get along?"
Get along.
And that's how it's gonna end.
We all have a past. So our theory is that Boba Fett dies at the end.
Your theory.
I'm not
I
sticking
think
with
that's a
it.
great theory.
No, I mean I didn't say
No?
it seriously, but if I'm correct,
That would be
I'll
really
be
funny.
amazed.
That'd be a great. But okay,
I don't think they would. Here's my thing: is as much as like I say it, I don't think they would because characters like Boba, characters that whatever, right? They don't want to kill them
yeah,
because these characters that
thing.
people are obsessed with are moneymakers for them. And they don't want to take this possibility of him coming back in future media off the table. So I don't think they will kill him.
Probably not.
Interesting.
I don't think he's gonna die.
I'm.
It's like the mall thing.
Yeah.
I think. Well, I agree. Which is why I think that he's related to something Jedi related.
I think
Because,
Boba's
like-
gonna be like
Boba's
peace and
force
love.
sensitive, guys.
Peace and love.
Stop. If one more character
make
who
him-
doesn't need if one more character who doesn't need to be
It is
force
gonna be like-
sensitive becomes force sensitive or like they're like
Before
They're force
Finn.
okay, like Finn, love. I think Finn should have been a Jedi, whatever. That's a whole other
He should've.
topic rant I can get into. But it's like, yeah, one more character, they bring it into something that doesn't need it. I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna personally go to Lucasfilm and start swinging on. Not everything
Well-
needs to be about the Jedi.
I agree.
I agree.
But that's what makes Star Wars Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
That's-
Yeah.
Well, but so many people.
That's why I said it
didn't
like that.
So many people didn't like the first episode of Book of Boba. So I wonder if this is Disney's way of being like, see, people aren't gonna like it if there's no Jedi or other stuff related. So we're just gonna have to put a Jedi in
Betsy,
future
it was just
episodes or
that-
whatever.
It was just that the director of Shark Boy and Lava Girl was the director of the first episode of Book of Boba
Are you
Fett.
serious?
Yes, Shark Boy and Lava Girl and Spy
Are
Kids.
you just
I'm dead
you-
serious. Like
Shark Boy
Bad.
and Lava Girl? Are
went
my
he went from Bryce
Ever.
Dallas Howard to Robert Rodriguez. Like,
Listen, did you
I mean,
watch
maybe it's
We Could
that.
Be Heroes? Did you watch We Could
Oh
Be
yeah, he
Heroes?
directed that. No, I didn't.
Did
I
you watch it, Dodge?
Girl, I watched like 15 minutes of it featuring Pedro Pascal.
Precisely. And nobody watched that whole movie for a reason.
Listen, it dragged. It dragged, but it was a kids' movie, so I can't. Listen.
Exactly. Why is a man who notoriously directs kids' movies directing Book of Boba Fett, which is a character that has 40 plus years of freaking like fans
Stuff to catch
waiting
up
to see?
I thought
Yeah.
that Jon Favreau was the director.
He's not the director.
He's the
He's
the
producer?
Yeah, he's like the
He's the-
Kevin Feige of
Or
the
is he
Star
like
Wars
the
live
written
action.
by guy?
He wrote it.
He's
He-
okay. Written by Jon Favreau.
Fabi wrote it. I also think he produced it. Robbie Rogg was the director.
Is he
of this episode.
do we know who's directing the next episode?
I don't know.
He's
I hope
directing
that
the
they
whole
do multiple
series.
directors.
He's
Wait,
directing
what?
all of it. He's directing all of it. Same
Whose
with
idea?
listen. So, but he directed the episode where Boba returns in The Mandalorian, and that was a good episode. And he directed that. So I think we need to don't even right now. Don't even. That was a good episode.
I'm not like, I don't want this to be like a
Expressing
hating
opinions,
episode. I am excited.
We're
excited
excited.
for what episode 2 has. I think that this will hopefully pick up in speed and storyline here soon. That hope I'm trying so hard to be positive.
Listen. We're here to be honest. We're not going to sugarcoat things. We're sick and tired of sugarcoating. We love Star Wars, and we're obsessed.
But
with
nobody
Star
hates
Wars.
Star Wars more than people who love
Than-
Star Wars.
than Star Wars.
Exactly. You guys want our opinions? We're gonna share our opinions.
This
And it
is the
doesn't mean
year
we
of
don't.
honesty.
We're
I'm
excited
a hater,
for the next
not a lover.
and
I'm
we
literally a
think-
minor.
Literally.
Recap. We have a couple negative opinions about Book of Boba Fett based on our first impressions, but our hopes are high. There's a lot more to come. There's a lot of gaps to fill in, and so we're not making any blanketed claims at this time. Just sharing a couple observations, asking some questions, putting them out there. But we would love to hear what our audience has to think about the show as well. So feel free to respectfully debate with us in the comments and correct us, point out things you notice, whatever you want, because we are always open to dialogue and conversation and always need more to talk about in our next episode.
And always,
Correct.
this is like literally just our opinions. Like,
Yes.
we're just having
We're
fun talking,
impatient.
whatever. And yes, first of all, I demand, I have needs. Those needs are content. But I think I can say that all of us are super excited to be back in general and to have content to talk about. So despite any feelings we have about Book of Boba, it's just nice to have it, to get to sit here and talk about it and dive back into Star Wars. It's been a long year since Mando, and it's been really good to finally have some fresh content and new things to talk about.
Mm-hmm. We say all with peace and love.
With peace and love.
That's what I'm predicting Boba will be like at the end of the series. He's gonna be like a hippie.
Let's all just love each other.
Let's stay
Anyways.
playful.
Caring is caring.
And with that, remember to like comment down below, subscribe to us on YouTube.
Look.
Oh yes, follow us on our social
Oh my
media.
goodness.
Yes.
On Instagram and Twitter.
Look at us.
Please
yeah.
follow our Instagram because we are 50 followers or so, 40 followers
Amazing.
away from 1,000 followers.
That'd be so
So,
exciting for us.
If there's 1,000 followers, we'll eat a sock. So
No,
you
we
guys should
won't.
follow us.
Speak for
Anyway,
yourself.
We'll
Yeah, we
do
will.
something,
I
but
put
maybe
it
not
out there,
here.
so we should eat a
also,
sock.
we would
Collectively
love,
or all
we
eat our
would-
own socks?
anyways, I'm
Eat
trying
our
to. We would love if you guys would leave a review on Apple Podcasts, because it has been a while since we've had a review, and since we're coming back from this little hiatus we took, it would really be helpful if you're listening to this, no matter what platform you're listening to it on, if you hopped over onto Apple Podcasts and left us a review.
Yes, and we apologize once again for being gone, but we're back. It's all
Season
gonna be
2,
fine.
baby.
Season 2, back at it again. Let us know how y'all's 4 months were. If you had a mental illness crisis too.
Did you take a hiatus from important things in your life, or just us? Please.
Share
Do you
down
have your life
below.
together, or are you like us?
XOXO, Gossip Girl.
XOXO.
XOXO, the Ladylorians.
Anyways, thank you guys all for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.